Decapitation! Fogondo, bitch!
Wow!
So you want to join the Milsim group, do you? Well, you've come to the right place. Here's what Milsim stands for. Milsim stands for Military Simulation. This means they use lots of things, like tactical strategies and organization to complete their goals. They're usually based on a real-life military unit and try and copy their tactics and strategy. In Milsim you need to listen to the leader, even though they may be whiny and annoying. Take it seriously. To maintain order, there will be time for silliness. Use your noggin. Don't be stupid. You may have to think on your feet to improvise. Preparation. You need to make sure you plan enough time for Milsim and you have a good mic. If you do all that, you should be well on your way to shoot up the ranks in Milsim. Let's look at some basic strategies and formations. Pat, put on the clips. In these videos, the blue will be the squad that is representing their positions. Now let's look at columns. You can see here the squad is in a line. This line is meant for moving. As you can see on the diagram, they should be covering all sectors. This is usually used for movement and not really for holding positions, but it can also be used for checking troops and other things. There's usually the support gunners on the outsides and the medics on the middle. This means that when they get in a spot of trouble, when the front and last man go down, the other ones can still res them. As much as it can be a quick way of getting your troops across the field, this issue does have many problems, like getting caught out in the open and having you all gunned down, like in some sort of collateral shot from a sniper or a bomb from a support. All of these can cause massive problems to this formation, as you are in a straight line as indicated here. Let's have a look at staggered column. This one is much more effective at avoiding fire. As you can see on the diagram, you are also covering all sectors while moving. You have laid a big gap in the middle of your formation. This is usually to avoid getting a collapsed or a vehicle from running you all down. This is quite easy to get into from the column formation. It's simply moving your second man to the right and your fourth man to the right. This is mainly used in enemy territories, so you'd use column to move quickly across the area. Once you reach enemy territory, you'll get into this formation. Problems with this formation is that you can leave huge gaps between the team, which means you're more likely to be able to get separated. Also, there can be gaps in your sector coverage, which can also let enemies slip through into your ranks. Let's move on to our last formation of this video, arrow. Arrow is usually used when moving towards a known enemy position. This is simply a column with a slight rise. It is made when the middle men move out. One of them moves out much more than the other. And diagram, the second man would usually be the support gunner to lend suppressing fire onto the position as you advance towards it if an enemy does engage you. Usually you would not use it if the enemy is already engaging you, because you would probably take maximum casualties for your lack of cover. Disadvantages of this include such things as being too spread out can cause issues when trying to get revives. Also, you are more likely to be able to be picked off if you are one by one and further away from each other. As much as you will still have to have maximum communication in your team at all times during Milsim, which is why a good mic comes into play here, you can also be picked off at times. Now that formations are done, we can then start moving towards the next stage in your training, which is tactics. Tactics are used a lot. This is your bread and butter of Milsim. Formations are moving locations. This is what happens when you get to those locations. So let's look at our first one. Pepper potting is a way of moving up onto an enemy position. As you will see in the diagram about to come up, you will see that it is very useful. What you do is the first man will lay down suppressive fire while the second one moves up onto the enemy position. Then the first man will move up with the second man covering him, and so on and so forth until you reach your enemy target and neutralize him. Once you have neutralized him, you can then secure his position for yourself and set up defensive positions. Let's have a look at how it's done with these boys. As you can see, they are moving into a regular normal column. Then they've broken to cover as soon as the enemy fire and the order has been called. They have broken into cover while one of them is trying to lend covering fire for the second one to begin moving up, as he will do any second now, I am sure. The first man was hit, but he is being revived and is getting back up for the training simulation. The second man will now begin laying down covering fire for the first one, who is moving up here now. As we are coming in now for a closer look on the action. As much as in this example 2 men are being used, most of the time each of those 2 men would actually be 2 men in themselves. So there'd be 4 men in your team doing this, with one of the men constituting 2 in this, if that makes sense. Moving on, it is very much useful against fixed positions with machine guns and other things. Let's move on to our second technique, which is breaching. Breaching is used a lot when you come into more urban areas, which will require much securing if you want to make it safe. So the squad will go on either side of the door and throw grenades in. Once these grenades have gone off, 1 and 2 will then enter the building. When 1 and 2 enter the building, they will then begin moving to their individual corners. 2 will move on to the first corner on the right and secure that, while 1 will move to the first corner on the left and secure that. And then once 1 and 3 have entered, they will then move to their individual corners to secure the entire room. Meanwhile, they will be calling out any targets they engage, or if they're lack of targets, they will say the word clear. While 1 and 2 are entering the building and coming in, 3 and 4 will be covering their back from any targets that may be coming towards the building from their side, just in case someone sneaks up and tries to steal their dog tags. Meanwhile, let's have a look at what these boys do for the example. As you can see, they're going to line up on either side of the door and prepare to breach it. Sadly, we have lack of footage of the actual breaching, but I can show you the positions they will look at, like at the end, in a second. As you can see, they are lining up either side of the door and getting ready to breach the building. They will then throw frags in and start moving into their positions while calling clear, or if they engage targets, while 3 and 4 will cover their backs. As you can see here, their positions in each of the buildings, in each of the corners, crouching down, looking towards the center of the room. Let's move on now. Multiple breaching. This is simply a more advanced version of regular breaching, with 2 men on each entrance instead of 4. They will do exactly the same as they have done in the previous breaching, but with only 2 men, as they will throw the frags in and then move into position. As you can see, in the example, they will be on 2 floors, so this is showing what will happen on each of the floors. They will throw the frags in and then begin moving into their positions, as you can see in this example. If you look, they are lining up on either door in this building, and they have just thrown the grenades in. Now you'll see they begin moving into the building, clearing it, and moving into their corner positions to secure the building. If we move upstairs, we will see they've done the exact same, and secured the corners of the building and secured the building itself. This is very good for multiple buildings with obviously 2 layers, or if an building is very large on the first level, you can have them on multiple entrances on that floor and then meet up in the middle, which is very good if they have multiple rooms, because then the enemy cannot defend from both sides. Bravo. Congratulations! You have just completed Milsim Basic Training virtual version. Now you can go to your platoon master and tell him you have watched this. There have been numbers in the corners that spell out a certain code you can tell him, which will show him that you have in fact watched the video and are not lying. Thank you very much for watching. There are... oh, here's the bonus assault course you can do. If you get your Milsim leader to go on canals, you'll see you can do this assault course in which you have to climb down, swim around this river area here, swim along here. Meanwhile, you'll be suppressed by heavy MG gunners like the one I'm holding in this video clip. They will swim right around here, and then they will begin to run. As you will see, I will begin joining them here, and I will do exactly what they do here. Boy, those boys can sure run. Oh, it's not over yet. They've still got the last little hurdle to go. Then they will soon be finished. As you'll see, they will come up to this spot here. Then they will stop and shout, "Recruits ready." Once they have shouted "Recruits ready," these ports will then move to positions along the road next to this one. Once they are along those roads, they will then set up little treats for the recruits, which will then suppress as they run past here. They will be on the wall shooting at them as they crawl along here, and then begin to move along towards the end of this copper wall here. As you can see, they really can crawl there. They are really getting down in the mud and crawling. Yes. Yes, they are. And then they jump on this little pedestal, and that is them done. They have completed it. So go ahead and pester your own Milsim leaders, or join the ACB in theirs, and I'm sure they'll do it with you, and try and get the best time of the assault course. Now you're ready to join the great big Milsim community, and get out there and begin playing Milsim and enjoy all it has to offer. You may get some bad eggs, but hopefully you'll get some good ones. I'll leave some link in the description. Thank you for watching. Also, I wish to thank ACB for all their help in the footage and by letting me watch their BCT. Cheers.